Welcome everybody to our admin meeting for Thursday, March 30th. Annie, do you want to do a roll call for us?
I'd be happy to. Online, we have Andrew Chorney, Alicia Beckholtz, Amy Bristow, Aaron Couts, Kyla Leonards, Melissa Fisher, Violet Plummer, Slavin Lee, and M. Katz. And in 206, we have Commissioners Strohmeyer and Slotnick, Chris Lansbury, Ann Hughes, Brian West, Allison France, Carrie Powers, myself, Annie Cathy, and Cheryl Hartman.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
Before we dive in, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? All right, that's perfectly fine. We have a consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull any items out on this consent agenda and talk about them?
Do not. I will move that we approve the consent agenda.
All right, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Second?
Oh, do we do it?
Yeah.
A second and all in favor? Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Combined motion.
It's a combined motion. All right, our first action item comes from our very own Chris Lansbury.
Yeah, so I might actually call on you, Commissioner.
I'd love to talk about this. I would love to,
involved in this.
yeah.
I'll give a quick primer. So Missoula County, in partnership with the Strategic Alliance for Mental Health, Western Montana Mental Health Clinic and Providence St. Patrick's Hospitals has been working on a plans for a crisis receiving center in Missoula County. This is the first step kind of in that process of moving towards an opening date. And this is an agreement between Missoula County, Western Montana Mental Health, and Providence that will allow for the hiring of a director and the way that staff will be laid out to staff that facility. And that I will Commissioner Slotnick.
Yeah, you nailed it. That was
Anything you
an
might like.
absolute complete description. All that I would add would be some thanks to Tom McGuire, Jeremy Williams from Providence, Levi Anderson from Western Montana Mental Health, and Terry Kendrick, our very own Terry Kendrick, who really put in a ton of work to get us to this point of creating an agreement between entities that had not worked together around this specific issue before and had to make something new out of whole cloth. They did a great job.
Good
So
work.
there we go. Good work to all them. Yeah.
Okay, I would move that we approve the agreement.
All right, I'll second and call for a vote. What do you think? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Chris.
Josh, remind me, where will it be?
Oh, thanks for asking. This is going to be on the Western Montana Mental Health Campus off Wyoming Street, right near our election center,
Oh, okay, great.
in a space that used to be for kind of dealing with folks who are just going to be around for the day as opposed to inpatient. So the space requires a bunch of remodeling, and we're working together to do that remodeling. And now we have a management agreement on how the thing will function. I'm excited for it, and then there's parking. It's already a site where people are enjoying mental health treatment. It's not going to be disruptive or new to the neighborhood. So I think it's a really good first start on this.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Chris, we have another one.
We do. So commissioners, as you know, every year you're required to set the membership of the compensation board, which will review elected official salaries for fiscal year 2024. So every year through you, I email all of the elected officials and look for those members who are not mandatorily required to participate. So just so everyone remembers, the commissioners are mandatory members, and the county attorney is a mandatory member. And then beyond that, you need 3 other elected officials and up to 4 citizen representatives to serve on that particular board. And so we survey all the other elected officials. This year, all of the elected officials who are in that discretionary group, who aren't the county attorney or the 3 county commissioners, volunteered to serve on the board. And so you were able to make a selection. And this year you have selected for it to be Dave Wald, who's our county auditor. I'm going to get this wrong here. Sorry. Tyler Gurnant, who's our elected clerk and recorder treasurer, and
Sure.
And the sheriff, thank you. Yes, Jeremiah
Fantastic.
Peterson, who will serve on that. And then you'll have two citizen members this year. Steve Johnson, who's the former chief operating officer for Missoula County and for the city of Missoula. Steve, just as a reminder, came to us after a long career of doing human resource work and compensation work for the state of Montana, and then was a long-term employee of the county as the HR director and then this chief operating officer. So has a great deal of experience in compensation work. And then our own Karen Harrison, who is our current HR director, is retiring and volunteered to serve on this. Again, brings a great deal of experience working around compensation and has been intimately involved in the county. So she will be your other citizen.
An encore performance.
An
Encore, I like that.
performance. She was looking for volunteer opportunities, so she retires, and this seems like a great fit, since she has a lot of experience and expertise, and so that will make up your fiscal year 2024 compensation.
Does Karen live in Lolo?
She does live in Lolo.
Lolo's mosquito board is always an opportunity.
Her husband actually serves. Or served. I don't know if he still is serving, but served on the Lolo
That's
mosquito
great.
district board at one point.
Okay, well, this sounds all stand. Okay.
I was looking at the Lolo mosquito district board.
I move that we approve the resolution.
All right, I'll second that and all in favor.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna ask it's off script here, but so you asked me a good question about where the crisis receiving center would be, and I'm thinking for anyone who's listening, should I talk for a minute about what it is? Or do you feel like that's understood enough?
No, go for it, yeah.
Right, so the crisis receiving center will be a place where folks can go voluntarily, and we can help them get there through first responders who are in a mental health crisis. And this keeps people out of the ER and out of jail if those aren't the right places for them to be. They can stay for just under 24 hours and have needs met and a certain degree of evaluation happen, and then we can help them get to the next spot.
So is
This-
it something that like the mobile support team would respond and realize that this
Absolutely.
person needs?
Very good.
additional
Mobile support
care?
team will be really in on this, as well as other first responders. Helps keep people out of jail and out of the ER whose needs do not demand that they actually go to those places. And this is a model successfully being done in many other communities here in Montana. There's one in Billings,
Mhm.
but lots of other places across the country. These things are being used specifically to keep people out of jail and out of the ER and have their needs more directly met. And we're doing this with ARPA money,
Okay.
not
Yes,
taxpayer money.
that's correct. Yeah.
And if anybody wants to talk about that some more, I'm glad to. And we can also set you up with Terry, who's more the expert. There we go. All right, thanks. DeShane.
I do not see DeShane on.
So Commissioners, I'm happy to pitch
Okay.
here for DeShane. He
Great.
filled you in on this yesterday, which is the only reason I can talk about this. So as you'll recall, the Health Department has been in a multi-year process of changing over to a new electronic management system for them. This next piece, which is being funded through a grant from the state of Montana, so again, not property tax dollars that are going towards the Health Department for this, specifically is to allow them to create online forms and the online opportunity for people who are coming in for immunizations or other medical services to be able to go ahead and register and basically fill out all of their information in a HIPAA compliant manner and have that directly upload into the Health Department's records, which then get directly rolled up into the state system when folks get immunizations. They hope to be able to have a phase 2 to this that would come later on that would allow them to expand that opportunity to their environmental health side. So folks looking for permits or other things would have another method of being able to do that online as opposed to having to physically come in and fill out paper forms, which is still what they are on right now. So that is what you were looking at for a contract.
It's great.
Okay, sounds good. I would move that we authorize the chair to sign the form.
I'll second that and all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't look like we have any correspondence. Anything to discuss? Legislature that you guys want to bring up?
Yeah, we don't have any specific bills, just as a reminder. So we've now passed the point where new bills can be introduced. So we're in the last kind of weeks of first round or last week of first round of hearings. Next week is the next transmittal deadline, and that will be when all bills will have had to have switched, even if they're revenue bills or not, one House or Senate to the other House or Senate, depending on which side they're going to. And I think that deadline is Tuesday of next week. So there'll be lots of hearings between these next couple of days. We anticipate that there will probably be some Saturday agendas in order to make that Tuesday transmittal deadline.
you pointed out something yesterday as far as just gonna say John Hopkins, Mike Hopkins, bill related to historic preservation and,
That I sent to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
are you guys aware of this? I wonder if it would be a mechanism to get some dollars for the federal building. There's a whole laundry list of buildings and facilities across the state of Montana that have a historic preservation spin to them.
Yeah, I couldn't tell from my very quick read whether this was funding existing projects that were all queued up, or this was going to create a fund and then they would be competitive.
Yeah, so this would be HB 12 and HB 9 are the things that have
Amazing.
historic
Okay.
preservation and restoration. And so those projects do go through a vetting process in the off year of the legislature and then are put into those bills. So we would have that opportunity potentially next year
Oh, I see.
to
Okay.
consider those. The Historical Museum at the Fort has grants in both 9 and 12.
Okay. Well, that timing could work out really well for us, given this.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the application process, but we can certainly find that out. I just do know how that, a little bit about how that.
Yeah,
Okay.
great. Well,
There's
we
the
could-
rest of the story.
Yeah, thanks. Well,
Yeah, you bet.
say it again, but the timing could work out well for us, given where we're at with this building.
I will say they're generally relatively small dollar grants.
Oh, that's
So
not too bad.
I say most of them top out at about $12,000.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I did see some 6-digit ones in there, so.
Yes, there are some. That's why I said most of them, not all,
$1,000.
most of them are small
That's few
dollar.
carpet
I think
squares.
we
In
have
your
about
office.
In mine.
three,
I
I
love
think we have
carpet
about 3,512. If I remember correctly, it's going to the Friends of the Fort. I think that's the Friends of the Fort one. I might have them backwards. And then 9, I think, has $10,000 or $12,000 for projects.
Yeah, they're building a
That
new
is an amazing recollection.
conservation building
It is.
for their material, like the housing the collection, the oversized materials in the collection. I think are in HB 9.
They're the same numbers every session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only reason
All
I
right.
can remember what they are.
Thanks.
I mean, that's to let the.
The air out of my.
That's more than I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
And thanks everybody for joining us, and hope you another fine gray spring day.
We're gonna have some nice days headed into, I think tomorrow, Saturday are supposed to be nicer.